city they're headed to. Is that...
Yeah! You can see the high wind! That's so cool.
Junon. Shinra territory. Come on.
Oh, we just get to see it. Oh, that's so cool. Look at it. Look at it. It's so nice. Look at that high wind. Look at the sister ray. God damn. Alright. Going along with what I was saying about graphics earlier, okay? Because I love using Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Remake as my, like, example of generational differences in graphics that are easy to underappreciate if you don't realize what it is you're looking at, right? Because, like, the character models are basically the same, right? They got touched up a little bit.
I'd rather not bother. Don't seem very friendly.
Agreed. Let's focus on where we can go.
Right, there's not a huge difference in the character models, right? But in Remake, you'd have your team of 3, and that's it. And like every once in a while, you'd have a cutscene, and the other characters would exist. That's mostly how it is here. Oh, okay. I'm not going to call that part out, but like the other big thing, the big thing is that while the individual model detail is comparable, right? It's comparable. It's a PS4 game, PS5 game. Comparable character detail. Ground clutter is probably also mostly comparable. There was a good amount of ground clutter in 7 Remake as well. Okay? However, Remake would have been like the mines that I just went through for like the whole game, right? That's Remake for the most part. And here we've got this big canyon area that just opened up to me. But here's the big kicker, right? Here's the big difference. Is that. That is the big difference. That a lot of people are not going to understand what it is they're looking at. Okay? And I'm sure that most people watching right now, if you're paying attention, are like, what is she talking about? In Final Fantasy VII Remake, we would be looking at a great big fucking skybox. We would be looking at a completely flat, completely static texture in the background. In this game, everything we see here is modeled. All of it. The high wind is not like an animated GIF playing in the distance, right? That is an actual 3D model with spinning propellers that's like a few hundred yards away from me right now. And how do we know that this is all modeled and not just a really well done texture? Even a well done animated one? Because, spoiler alert, later on we're going to be in the tiny Bronco, and we'll be in that water. And you can go to all of those rocks. This is the generational leap that people don't understand, that people don't realize. Right? And you might also think to yourself, well, yeah, but like, you can't go there right now, so why do you have to model it? Well, yeah, but like, think about the original Final Fantasy VII on the primitive PlayStation 1 hardware, and how most of its areas, most of its screens, weren't even 3D. They were 2D. They were pre-rendered 2D backdrops that never changed, that did not move. Some of them scrolled a little bit, but that's it, right? And I know people who, at the time, Like, not so much 7, because 7, the characters had cardboard box body parts, right? But, like, especially with Final Fantasy VIII and with Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 2 was a big one for this. They were like, wow, how can graphics get better than this? This is so real looking. This is so good. And I've seen more recently people showing example screenshots from Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 being like, this is what we achieved in 1996, 7, whatever it was. And people, you wouldn't even believe we could achieve graphics like this back then. And my response is like, yeah, because we weren't actually fucking rendering it. The hardware wasn't having to do any work. And so what was the big jump from Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 to Final Fantasy 10? No more pre-rendered backgrounds. The areas are now 3D. Have fun. And then, of course, to kind of combine with that, there's the fact that Final Fantasy X was also designed to really hammer that point home. Whether you realized it or not, most fields in Final Fantasy X had very scenic camera angles, and camera angles that swept over glorious, like, waterfalls and whatever the fuck it was in the background of whatever field you were in, right? And that was how Final Fantasy X really kind of showed you, like, this is next-gen graphics. This isn't your 2D pre-rendered backdrop where the camera can never move, right? This is 3D. And that's really, that's more and more of like what we're getting with the newest generations of hardware, with the newest, with the capabilities that we have with modern gaming. Even if you can, you know, take a screenshot of Cloud from Rebirth and Cloud from Remake and be like, wow, you know, there's not really much difference here. You move the camera out a little bit and you look at what's behind him, and there is so much more to see. That's the difference. That's where the magic happens. Yay, I got to pet at the chocobo.